I want to bring in Lisa Daftari, who's a Mid-East journalist and Fox News contributor. And Lisa, welcome. This is a topic that we can talk to you about, given so many years of experience in the region. And the question I wanted to ask you is, Secretary Kerry called Assad a thug and a murderer. I'm sensing you wouldn't disagree with that. What do you think the appropriate action is for a president to take?
Yeah, no one's going to disagree with that, or the fact that Syria crossed many lines, including President Obama's red line and other international lines, in using chemical weapons. But there is a saying in Persian that says, I poke out my eye in order to punish my eyebrow. And that's exactly, it's the perfect way to describe what's going on here. There should be a punishment. There should be a slap on the wrist to the Assad regime for using chemical weapons in order to deter them from using them again against the civilian population. That's all correct. But what makes this incorrect is the lack of strategy. What makes this incorrect is the same reasons that we hesitated to get ourselves involved in Syria to begin with. We were concerned that the weapons that we provide would fall into the wrong hands. We were concerned that the chemical weapons could be moved around and get into the wrong hands. We could see a potential pass-off scenario, and those same chemical weapons could be used against our ally in the region, Israel, against us here. We know that there's Al-Qaeda terror cells here in the U.S. and in the West. And those same reasons, those same fears that we had from the beginning of the situation at least a year ago are still present, and they're even more of a threat now, because we are we're asking for retaliation, and the Assad regime, the Iranian regime, have not been shy about telling us that there will be a price to be paid for these strikes, no matter how limited and how targeted these strikes are.
And Lisa, that could affect us. It could affect the allies, those mentioned, those not mentioned. And President Obama, through Secretary Kerry, seems to suggest there's a possibility that he would go it alone. I want you to explain to the American people what our interests are in that region that we would be protecting if we were to teach Assad a lesson and show the rest of the world that this is not something we tolerate here.
So the main argument here is to say that he went against the red line that President Obama had drawn over a year ago, which is correct. He did cross that line. He used chemical weapons. Another argument would be to deter them from using chemical weapons again. It would also be a lesson or some sort of symbolic gesture towards Iran, the Iranian regime, to say that we can't be pushed around. But again, there's this misconception or a misunderstanding of the real core of the issue. With Iran, we said it was the nuclear weapons, but in reality, it's the regime. It's the regime that would use those nuclear weapons. With Assad, yes, he has chemical weapons, and it's not really the chemical weapons, but it's the regime that would use those chemical weapons. So in effect, these attacks, or the limited military strikes, if he wants to call them that, are in effect only going to awaken or renew this sense of targeting the West. And that means, for us here at home, we know that these terror cells, Hezbollah cells, exist. We know that the Iranian regime has informants here in the West. So their tentacles are far-reaching. And again, they've made that statement. They know they have said that the retaliation is going to be harsh.
Understand. And depending upon the action taken, the response could be equally or more harsh. Thank you so much, Lisa Daftari. Great to have the chance to talk to you today.